There you go. Thank you very much for that. So I think to begin with then, without further ado, I'm just going to ask you to sit because I need a little bit of grounding. I'm going to, the information I sent out was breaking it up into 20-minute sections. I think those are probably going to be too long. So I would like to, I'm going to adjust my lesson plan, as it were, if it were there, as I go along. And I know that I need to sit and arrive in this space. So I'm going to invite you to join me in probably just a 5-minute sitting practice, just simply to arrive. Keeping your eyes open if you're comfortable to do so at the beginning, and just take a look around your space. Where are you? You can move the head. As visual artists, perhaps, our eyes are one of the things that we use to center ourselves. Where am I? What's the light like today? And just notice what comes up as you look around your space. You might also look at the screen and how does that make you feel? Or look away from the screen. And then when you are ready and settled, aware of the visual space around you, perhaps just letting the eyes close. Focusing on the sensations of body and breath to arrive in this space. Feeling your seat, the bottom on the seat, on the floor, connected to the ground, feeling your arms resting wherever they are comfortable. Feeling the touch of body weight against body as arms rest into lap. Just become aware of how the body feels. Perhaps there's any tension. Perhaps you can soften as you sit for a moment. Notice if the breath is by itself softening and deepening as we sit. Bring your attention to the breath. Where does it come into the body? What's the temperature as it comes in around the nostrils of the mouth? Where does it reach into the body? So just being aware of each in-breath. And aware of each out-breath. extending the in-breath and the out-breath if it feels comfortable, or rather just noticing how they elongate as the body and mind settle into this space. And just play with this idea of the breath almost filling you up like a balloon, bringing the breath all the way down into the toes. Feeling that contact, that tingle, awareness, and that connection with the earth. You can experiment with letting the out-breath out into the ground. We're really grounding ourselves in this moment, in this sitting, standing, lying. Letting the breath be our focus of attention as we inhabit our body and connect to the space. So you can bring your attention, bring the breath all the way into the hands. So the hands start to feel alive. Feel the air around the hands. And then just notice any sounds around you. What's in your space? What's outside the space? Where does your body end and the room begin? Where does the room end and the space around that begin? Just acknowledging where you are right now. What brought you to this place today? And then just bring your attention back to the physical body, rubbing your fingertips and thumbs together. Stretching the hands in and out. Just rubbing the palms together. And arriving back in the room with the eyes open, if you are ready to do so. So that was a fairly short little meditation just to ground us into our space and also to ground me into this situation. So thank you for joining me on that. I want to talk a little bit about why I'm here and the importance for me of meditation in my practice. But really, to emphasize that this is an opportunity for you to use this time as a weekly commitment if you wish to be in your studio space, to join me in meditation, to join me in some practical drawing in order to engage with your practice, engage with your space, and if possible, spend a day in your studio. And I will share with you the fact that I find this hard. This is why I'm doing this. This isn't me saying, I'm brilliant, come and join me because I can show you the way. This is me, with all honesty, saying, I find this hard. It's what's brought me to ritual, routine, meditation, all sorts of daily practices. But I find it very hard to stay in my studio space and in my practice. So my practice leads me all over the place, which is not a bad thing. I have practice outside of my studio space, but I miss the contained space of a studio and the private space and the magic of that creative space where nobody else is and nobody else needs to be or needs to be invited. So that's what this is about for me. At some point today, another day, in an email, whatever, it would be nice to be able to share that as well with other people. If you are used to Zoom, you'll be familiar with things like breakout rooms. So I might use those as and when it feels appropriate. But that's basic, that sums it up. So it's not a drawing class. It's not something where you need to have the right materials and you'll be taught a technique. It will be meditation, movement, touch, practice, meditation, movement, touch. And it's inspired a lot by some of the work I've done with open floor dance teachers, actually, who work on Zoom like this. And I find it miraculous. How can we dance and share a space through this technology? I found it really, really exciting and liberating. And I've done quite a bit of practical teaching as well on Zoom. So one of the things I'm going to pinch from my dance teacher is, without speech, I'd like you to just say how you feel right now. We could have done this at the beginning and it might have already changed. With double thumbs up, good, double thumbs bad, bad. And you could be anywhere in between. You could be, ooh. I know that I've changed since when I first arrived, so I can now do double thumbs up. I was a bit wobbly. So that just gives us a visual thing. Also gives you an opportunity to actually look at the screen and see who else is there. See what the general mood is. So not sure I caught everybody, but there's some, yeah, fairly, almost, and good days and half. So let's see how we are at the end. Hopefully equally like that and not like that. We'll see. Okie dokie. Right, so let's do some drawing now to get your drawing materials out. Any size piece of paper, any materials. You might want to stick it down with masking tape just so that if you were going to shut your eyes, it wouldn't matter if it moved around. And this is an introduction to your materials. Whatever you have, it could just be a felt tip pen and a biro. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Sticking down is optional to stop it sliding around. And when you are ready, take a different material, in one in each hand. And with this meditative awareness of yourself, of touch, of body, you can do this with eyes open to start with, just looking at the materials in your hand. Feel the weight of them. Are they man-made or natural? Are they mechanical or do I mean by that? I've got a pen with a pencil with a clip press button thing. Are they plastic? Do they have bits to twiddle? Do they have texture on them? Are they coloured? So just have a look at them, feel them. Shut your eyes, feel the weight of them in your hand. Are they familiar? This is why you picked them up. Or were they just the nearest thing? And with real attention to the feel of the material, with the eyes shut, just take one of them, left or right hand, it doesn't matter, and just start to make some marks on the page with the eyes shut, with real attention to the feel of it. So having done a short meditation, perhaps you might find that you can dip into that meditative state just by closing the eyes. And perhaps your movement starts to become connected to the breath. And just let this one material float, move, press into the paper. We're not drawing a thing, we're drawing the act of drawing itself. We're drawing the feel of this material. Just notice how that movement connects to your breath. Is it okay to keep the eyes shut? Where are the edges of the paper? Do you find the edges of the paper? Do you slow down at the edge of the paper? Listen to the sound of this material and play with movement and pressure and direction. And just finding a way to come to a pause, a natural pause with that movement, that contact. And let the other hand take over. And this other hand might have a different material. And depending on which hand you started with, perhaps this is your non-dominant hand. Either way, it's going to feel different. Different sensations, different experience. Different sound. And again, can you find the edges of the paper? What happens if your movements become bigger as they reach across from edge to edge? What happens if you lift and dance your material around? So just notice if you get more vigorous and more confident, or whether you tune into the minutest detail. You're exploring a sheet of paper with simple materials and leaving a mark. Change the weight, the speed, the direction. Change the way you hold your tool. So you could hold it in your fist like a child with a crayon, or dangle it from fingertips. You might even try both hands at the same time. Do they want to dance together? Do they mirror each other? Does your body want to join in and move? Just want to try a little experiment without interrupting the flow too much, but I'd like to hear the sound of a room full of people drawing. So if you're able to easily unmute yourself, I'm afraid I can't unmute you. Without any speech, just let's see if we can fill the room with the sound of drawing. And I shall mute you again. You don't need to do the muting. If it gets too much, I'll mute you again. And at this point, if you want to pick up another material.
Is it on the same page, Katie? Another material?
Just keep going. You can, at any point, you can change your page, but with the eyes shut, it doesn't really matter what the drawing's like. So it's just a little interruption to see if we can listen to the sound of drawing. But I can't hear much sound, so I just might mute everybody again. I was intrigued to know if there would be a sound of movement. You're drawing very quietly. I'm going to mute you again to save whoever it is who's coughing from worrying about it. I shall mute you all. So it was a little experiment there, but I couldn't hear the sound of your materials on paper. So just continue for another couple of minutes, exploring this page with these materials. And notice how that felt, having that interruption. Did it quite possibly affect the flow? You've opened the eyes perhaps and seen what's happening on the page. What happens with that? What's your feeling, your judgment for what is a drawing? Disturbed, yes, by that, definitely. So I've learnt something there. Don't interrupt the flow. Thank you. So I'd like to extend this meditative, tactile approach to this drawing, this way of drawing. You know, what happens as visual artists, we often are drawing things around us, as well as, I suppose it's this mixture, isn't it, of expressing internal feelings, internal reactions to things, but inspired by what's around us. So can we do that by touch alone? Do we need eyes? Do we need reference material? So I'd like you to look around your studio and pick something up that has a tactile quality to it, that has a weight, a surface, a texture. And come back to your meditative drawing spot, holding this object. In your hands. Closing the eyes once again. Connecting ourselves to something else, to our things, to our objects, through touch, through holding this connection. So once again, we can use the breath to anchor ourselves in our space, to feel gravity beneath us, to let the body rest, the breath soften. But this time we have a connection to something in our hand. And I'd like you to just firstly hold it still. Feel the weight of it, the temperature, the texture of it, as it just rests in your hand. You might have the urge to move your hands around the object to change that sensation. So where does it touch your skin? Where does your skin touch it? What are those points of contact, and what happens if you shift that point of contact just slightly? Change the position of your hand. Bringing all our attention just to that moment instead of what's coming next or what's this mean. It's just, we're just connecting to this one thing in our hand. Perhaps it brings you comfort, perhaps it's familiar. You might want to start exploring it with your fingertips now, so it's a bit like the drawing across the page. We've got a little bit more movement. And where are the edges? Does it have a surface, an inside and outside? Where does it stop and start? Where does it begin? Explore it with both hands. Turn it around, turn it upside down, if you can. And then bring it to your body somehow. So we have it in our hands, but maybe you could hold it to your heart, or hold it up to your face, your cheek. The way we sometimes greet people, loved ones. You might even be able to listen to it. Hold it to your ear. So developing a really intimate relationship to this object. You're all on mute, you might even whisper to it something secret. Smell it. We could be humorous with it, place it on an awkward part of the body. I've got my eyes shut, so I'm not looking at you. If you want to put it on your head or stick it on your big toe, balance it on one finger. It's like a little dance with this object, changing our relationship to it. Again, noticing how the breath is connected to the movement, and the mind can be calmed perhaps by following the breath and the movement. It gives us a focus. Instead of worrying what this is about, just keep present to that moment. And in your own time, when you are ready, I would suggest on another sheet of paper, just for the sake of clarity when your new drawing is appearing, but it really doesn't matter if you just keep drawing on the same surface. So if you can easily get yourself another sheet of paper and continue this explorative approach to your object, and I would even go so far as to say, what would happen if you just used your fingers on the paper to start with before you even pick up a drawing material? Doesn't matter whichever order if you've already started drawing, that's fine. But you could even just use touch and movement to convey this feeling of connection to an object. It's very different to drawing an object or trying to draw it with your eyes shut and make it look like something. Just use the hands to press and move around the piece of paper before you pick up your drawing materials. And at this point, I'd say go as fast or as slow as you want with any materials, because you might feel that all you need is a few marks, and then you change position and you draw it again on a fresh sheet of paper, or you just keep overlapping. So just explore this connection to an object. Again, this today is all about grounding and settling. So just let the materials flow in response to touch. And change hands if you need to, keeping the eyes shut. Maybe you need to put the object down now to turn it around in your hand. Or you can just hold it in one hand and rotate it as the other hand draws. If the fingertips are exploring it gently, is the corresponding mark gentle? If you change your grip and press your object into your hand, does your drawing, the marks change? Changing sheets of paper, changing materials at any time. Moving the object closer to the body. Pausing. Drawing a sensation. Moving it around the body, balancing it, experimenting. This is all just suggestions, so just follow at your own pace. If you haven't already done so, you might swap hands. Give the other hand a chance to explore and touch, and find that corresponding touch and sensitivity in the drawing hand. And if you enjoyed the movement and to the face or the ear, the balancing on your head or your toe, just follow those intuitive feelings. Nobody's watching, nobody's judging. And if we could approach all our drawing, drawing a person, drawing a figure, with this love and sensitivity. Can we get this when we tune in? Without judgment. Just for the last couple of minutes, really play with that sense of what is it that I am drawing? Am I drawing myself touching an object? Am I drawing an object and the shape of it? Am I drawing the points of contact? Am I finding my imagination floating off in stories? Just go with it. If drawing with the eyes shut is not your bag, feel free to open the eyes. You might want to write. I don't know the background of everybody. You could do this practice by writing words. Just simply fluid awareness, non-judgment, intuitive flow. So I'm just coming to a natural conclusion. Hi, Anita. And I'm just going to do the thumbs up, thumbs down thing again. See how you feel. Just a little visual thing. I'm in love with my teacup. Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for the yeah, the visual signals. It's nice to see. We're drawing to the end, drawing to the end of the session. And I would like to give you the chance to speak, but it is quite a large group. So I was thinking of putting you into a breakout room. If you've not done this before, it's optional. You get a little message that says you're invited to join a group. And in that group, you will have to unmute yourself in order to speak. And there will be 3 or 4 other people on your window screen. You can choose whether you can choose gallery view. So everybody has an equal size box. And I'd like you, if you do choose to join a group, you can just say, I think actually anything about how that exercise worked for you. It's just an opportunity to share, and I will prompt you with a little reminder. So maybe it's just a minute per person. So we take 4 minutes to go around if there's a group of 4 of you. So I'm going to try this as an experiment. So if there are, and anybody who doesn't want to go in can just stay with me in the room. So if there's 24, right. So you just choose not to go into the room. So there'll probably be 3 or 4 of you assigned automatically into rooms. Actually, I've got 3 of you. No, I'm going to change that. Sorry, not doing that. That didn't work out. So try again. Okay. Yeah, that's better. Right, I'm going to try it and see what happens. And you just take it in turns and I'll give you a little reminder. Anybody who's still here, you're welcome to unmute and talk to me. So Jules and Julian, you're still here, but I'm happy. If you're happy, you may speak if you want to speak. I'm just timing the others.
I don't need to speak.
Okay, thanks, Jules.
I'm happy drawing.
Good. Good, good. So I'm just inviting them back now. Oh. There we go. So they should start pinging back in now. So welcome back, welcome back. It's great now people are so familiar with Zoom. In the early days, these kind of things would get very chaotic and noisy in the mind, but I think everybody's familiar with it. And as I say, that power to connect in this way, I think is amazing, because I know we do have some people, maybe just
This
one
meeting is
person
being
from
recorded.
America. I will just mute everybody again for now. Yeah, that power to connect with people who aren't in your physical space. And I'm thinking that this is perhaps the value of this practice that I can do with you, is that we are sort of connecting, you know, we're inviting people into our space, spiritually, mentally, whatever it is, you know, we are connecting through this ethereal space. But once this screen is off, you're on your own again. You know, there's nobody in the room making noise, and that can be really lovely, peaceful, but also terrifying. I think we can acknowledge, I can certainly acknowledge that I'm on my own in my studio space. What am I going to do? And I'm committing to this day, as some of you may be doing. This isn't a test at all. You don't need to tell me or anything, but I'm committing to this day, and maybe that gives the motivation for those of you who can, to know that we are going to be in our space, perhaps a little bit terrified, perhaps a little bit lost and lonely, perhaps actually frustrated because we've got to go back to work. Whatever it is, there'll be all sorts of things happening in each of your minds and worlds. But I can now admit that I found this whole experience a mixture of yeah, I would say maybe terrifying, just because I'm in charge of it all and making it work, but actually also so rich and rewarding to feel this, you know, to hold kind of honor to be holding this space for people. And I think it's no surprise that I held a mug. You know, for me, it was really, really comforting and important, and this vessel and the space inside it, and in fact the nourishing liquid that's inside that. So there was all sorts of symbolic things that connected with me through my object and through my touch and through my drawing. So that's my little summary. We have got 2 minutes before the end. Thank you very much for your messages, because it's really odd teaching a silent room. It's really odd. So I'm glad that you had your breakout rooms, and that's your chance. We can't have 20 people all sort of shouting, but if anybody does want to, in the last 2 minutes, if you had a word that you want to share either in the chat or in out loud, do unmute yourself and say something. And if anybody wants to stay at the end, I shall be hanging around. So thank you. Thank you very much. It's so good getting messages. I don't know if any of you have run a Zoom thing. It's weird. It's weird. It's really weird, but it's great. And I'm really looking forward to doing more. So I think I'll just chat, unless you can feel free to unmute or wave your hand. There's a couple of things that I think I'm going to make a note of. Firstly, thank you very much for recording. I think that would be really useful. I will find a way that it's shared privately to you or to others who have, committed to the process. It won't be public. So thank you for that. I have made a note to self. I'm going to ditch the waiting room idea, because I noticed people either disappearing or not being able to get in because I had my eyes shut. So from now on, I don't think there'll be a waiting room, which means you can just let yourself in. It seems that everybody, otherwise that worked fine for everybody. And I will think about either a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group, or both, for you to connect. I don't need to lead that anymore. This is your time to do your work. And for you to connect if you did do any work. It could be that this is just your time for sitting still, and off you go and do something, make a sculpture or do some knitting or lie on the floor and sleep, which I think is a good thing to do. But it could be that I spend all day drawing my mug. I don't know yet what's going to happen. If you've got time, I know we've run 1 minute over, I would like to read something to you that somebody sent me, because I think it fits. It'll be a nice little reading for the end of the day. So I'm just going to check if there are messages. I'm sorry, Anita, that you slipped out, and that was the problem with the waiting room. I didn't notice you'd gone. Brilliant. Yes, I'm really sorry, but I'll send you the recording, so that's good. So lovely messages coming in. Thank you all very much. The other thing of note, I will add you to my mailing list, and some of the dates that I might have sent those of you who registered early. I've had to shift the March date, so just double check with me or in the latest information. I think the information on my newsletter, which you may or may not have, is correct. The March dates are going to be the last 3 dates in March, so that must be the 15th, 22nd, 29th. I can't do the first 2. And I think I will continue if this goes well. So I will finish then with just a reminder, if you would like to make a donation, all the information's on what I sent to you. You can think about that and when and how you will do that. Other than that, yeah. Okay, I'm going to read you something, and please feel free if you've got to go. I know I've gone a couple of minutes over. This is Doris Lessing talking about fitting in her creative practice, writing. I woke at 5 when the child did. He came into my bed and I told or read stories or rhymes. We got dressed, he ate, and then I took him to the school up the street. I shopped a little, and then my real day began. The feverish need to get this or that done, what I call the housewife's disease. I must buy this, ring so-and-so, don't forget this, make a note of that, had to be subdued to the flat, dull state one needs to write in. Sometimes I achieved it by sleeping for a few minutes, praying that the telephone would be silent. Sleep has always been my friend, my restorer, my quick fix, but it was in those days that I learnt the value of a few minutes submersion. And you emerge untangled, quiet, dark, ready for work. So I'm replacing the flat, dull state with the meditative state, actually the quiet, alert, meditative state. But it's about that, putting all of the rest of it aside. That's what we need to do, and that is what's so hard. And I'm really hoping that this works for me and for all of you for 1 day a week. It'd be great. So thank you all very much. Yeah, take a nap.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much, Katie. It's absolutely
so
brilliant.
nice to see you as well, because I haven't seen some of you for years. Lovely to see you, Marina.
Yes, it was lovely. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Lovely day.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Katie.
Bye, Lorna.
Yeah,
Bye. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Katie,
Yeah.
which book was that from?
It is from a book called, if I set up a WhatsApp, I can forward it. Daily Rituals, Women at Work by Mason Curry.
Oh, wait, I wonder which Doris Lessing book it is, because I've got.
Yes, I don't know which Doris Lessing.
Might be the big chunky one. I have not.
It's a book with snippets of women, of the practice of women artists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Who was the author again, please?
Doris Lessing.
No,
So
but
it's her describing her routine. So it won't be in a novel. It'll be in a. It may be even an interview or something. I can find out. I'll ask the friend who sent it to me where the quote is from.
Yeah, no, I was thinking of the whole book.
The whole book is called Daily Rituals, Women at Work.
Lovely, thank you. Brilliant.
Good.
It'd be helpful.
Yeah, good.
Bye, Katie. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Elaine. Bye.
Bye, Tracy.
Everybody. Bye, Sasha.
Lovely to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so lovely.
Yes, great. I almost.
Thank you. That's
Bye,
lovely.
Judy. Thank you.